like who is making the reference card, because a company will take a reference card and they'll put
sorry to interject.
Sorry to interrupt. We're getting some breaking up on the call here. Can we try redialing you here? Let's try that one more time here. Sorry guys, our connection looks good. The stream seems to be running just fine still. So just
for a minute.
Just to be clear, guys, we still have our Razer Lower Third down here, but the Razer Comms sponsorship is technically over, and Elric had Skype on his machine, so we decided to go that route. So you're back, right?
I'm here.
But you still got that robot sound. I wonder what's going on here. It sounds like you might be being DDoSed, actually, would be my suspicion.
My comms broke. That's actually why I didn't use it. But I can try and see if
clear.
Yeah, I think you might be being DDoSed. So
30 seconds until minions spawn.
do you happen? Okay, let's see if we can figure out what we can do here.
comms isn't actually. Oh, there we go.
Hold on. Have we got? Has the connection dropped completely?
No, we can hear him.
Still there. Okay. Well,
I'm here.
you know what? Why don't you go ahead and sort of we'll see if we can power through it and give us a. You know what? How good of a data plan do you have on your phone? Do you want to give us a call from your phone on a mobile network and see if we can avoid this?
Minions have spawned.
I suppose. I'm in my house. I thought this was a good connection. They say I'm being DDoSed or something.
Yeah, it's a Skype bug. There's really not a whole lot that can be done about it, but anyone who knows your Skype ID is able to DDoS you with impunity. It was a problem we were running into on the WAN show, where our shows were getting shut down because someone through our Skype ID was shutting us down. In fact, that person's probably trying to DDoS us right now, but don't worry, we're using a very secret Skype ID that gets used for nothing but this. So, you know.
So I've been hacked.
Basically, yeah.
So you guys want to hang up with me?
You know what? It's a little bit better now. Why don't you give us the reference versus non-reference card bit, and let's try it. Let's try it. Let's see if you can make it.
All right. So check it out. Here's my way. Now, in the past, are you guys still there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. In the past, I thought NVIDIA made some of the worst reference coolers around. You guys all know, everybody called them lawnmowers and everything else. They were for a while. Everybody kind of suffered.
Do you remember the 7950 GX2?
How could you not? but like I was saying, man, like NVIDIA now makes a reference card that has a really nice cooler on it, and many of the people in my channel will come to me and say, hey, how do you get a hold of that reference design exactly like that? And that time it was really cool, but most of the time, when companies just take and put some piece of plastic on it and throw a sticker on it, I mean, I suppose it's okay if you're just somebody throwing it in a computer and not looking at it, but most of the people, I think, nowadays, they're getting.
Oh boy, yeah, no, he's definitely being DDoSed, so maybe try and bring the connection back. In the meantime, guys, I would love for you to hit us up on Twitter, give us a Twitter blitz of any questions you have for Elric that you'd like him to address live on the screen. Alright, so let's go ahead and move into one of our other topics while we try and get Elric back. I've got someone asking me on Twitter, do you even know what DDoS is? It's just Skype being garbage. The reality of it is Skype's service really just isn't actually that bad. Yeah, it's probably not that. So do we have you back? Are you back?
I am here. I don't know how much you guys got, but I'm here.
Alright, you're back. So we made it to, you don't see much of a value to board partners just taking a reference design and slapping a sticker on it versus actually designing their own card.
Most of the time, I don't really think that's good because, I mean, unless you're somebody who doesn't care about your computer and you just want to throw it in there and play some games, you want a card that's going to look good, it's going to be cool, going to have overclocking and all that stuff. And when these guys go out of their way and they make WindForce, Twin Frozer, Asus, when they make this extra cooling and go that extra mile, it just seems to make the card be a better card and look better. And for $5 or $10 that you pay a difference, I think people who take the time to do that are making a better card. Now, there are some people, however, who have contacted me, like I said, who they really want to get their hands on the reference cards just like they look from NVIDIA. You can get those obviously from EVG, they have those. there's still some people that just made a plastic shroud, even for some of these newer cards, and I don't really appreciate that. I think it's better if you go out of your way and take the time to make a better card. You're not the reference guy. Take the time to make a good card.
Yep, you know what? I agree with you 100% because there was a time a few years ago when you were looking at paying a lot of the time for a non-reference card as much as you would pay for the next better GPU. So we were getting, you know, redesigned cards that are a lower tier of product, and then we were getting them sold to us at the price of a higher tier product with performance that was about the same, but they'd be overclocked already, and yeah, you'd have a little bit more headroom out of them, but usually you're better off buying better GPU in the first place. Whereas now, it's like you said, it usually costs like what, an extra $10? $15 to get something like a Direct CU2 or a Wind Force or a Twin Frozer card that has better cooling, and in the case of Direct CU2 in particular, Asus has done a great job of having completely non-reference redesigned cards ready at launch a lot of the time. Yep. So I think there's a very compelling value to be had there.
The only case...
Take a lot of time. But Asus take a long time making a card.
Sorry, we can't we can't make you out again. But you know what? I think we're getting some complaints here on the stream about just how bad the voice quality is. You know what? I'm sorry. We might have to let you go, Elric. Is he still able to hear me through Skype? Probably not.
He can hear us fine.
Yeah.
I hear you guys fine. Sorry.
You're breaking up too bad, so you know what? Thank you so much for coming on as a guest. Since they can't really hear you, I guess what I'll have to do is just kind of do your outro for you.
Hey, I hope you can hear that.
An enemy has been slain.
And your show again, we can
Sorry, man, we got nothing. You're gonna have to.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'll cut it, but do an outro for him.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, just so you know, that's Elric. He's got over 200,000 subscribers on the YouTubes, which is all the more impressive because he had to restart his channel. He got a lot of support from his viewers, formerly on the youtube.com/motherboardsorg channel. They have flocked over there, they have helped spread the word, and it is now at the point where Tech of Tomorrow has more subscribers than the motherboards.org channel ever had, and he is definitely got faster growth than ever before, and I think it's a really cool example of how YouTubers can basically come back and with the support of their communities can really make a go of it in spite of some really challenging stuff that happened quite a few months ago. So guys, you can follow him at Tech Tomorrow on YouTube, or you can go over to techoftomorrow.com and check him out. So parents, Minecraft is apparently a big problem. So this was a post on Kotaku, which, I mean, oh, come on. Okay, so now we've heard it all. Minecraft blamed in school violence case. It should be noted that the kid took an unloaded gun to school and...
There was no... to give a little bit to the guy who did it, there was no firing pin. The kid should not have been able to get a pistol with a...
Yes.
With ammo. But there at least was no firing pin.
So there was no firing pin, however the kid did have a steak knife and a small-handled sledgehammer. So arguably, as far as things that we consider to be weapons go, the only one was a gun. And then as far as things that we consider to be functional weapons go, the sledgehammer and the knife are probably actually the most potent out of everything. With that said, threatening is a gun. Very good deal, but the kid never actually threatened anyone.
Yeah.
So he had them at school, which is terrible, and the kid basically says, well, they use hammers to dig and knives and guns to protect themselves from zombies.
This was
asked,
the...
Wait, what?
I'm pretty sure that was the dad.
Yeah, that was the dad.
Yeah.
So I thought you were saying that was the radio station. So when the dad was interviewed, he clearly didn't have a very clear understanding of how Minecraft works because digging is normally done with shovels, and mining is done with a pickaxe.
Or he doesn't understand how
So, I mean, really what this calls into question is the comprehension of situations of
He's
people.
trying. He took his situation, he sat there and went, everything that went wrong was kind of my fault. Now, what is applicable that I can throw through to make this look bad instead of me? And just randomly was like, he plays video games. Everyone blames video games. I'm gonna play video games.
And I mean, I personally, you know, as a man now, do I think that something like Grand Theft Auto 5 is something that I want my kid playing? The answer is no. And you know what? I'm not even of the mind that, you know, at 16 or 18 necessarily that people should be influenced by that kind of media. With that said, there's worse out there that isn't in a video game. This much is true, and with that said, I'm a pretty firm believer in the whole nurture versus nature, and I lean more towards the nature side. Do I believe that playing a violent video game takes an otherwise fuzzy, warm, would never hurt a fly person and turns them into a serial killer? The answer is no. Do I think that some desensitization goes on? The answer is yes, and you're basically wrong if you don't think that desensitization is a thing.
But desensitization,
Right.
not necessarily reacting.
So one thing that does bother me is I do think that there is probably, potentially, and I'm putting a lot of stuff in here.
Probably, maybe,
I think that if you lean that way in the first place, you might get a few interesting, cool ideas that you could go ahead and act on that you might not have otherwise thought of.
But not really from Minecraft.
No, not from Minecraft. That's ridiculous.
Nothing like a sword, and my thing was like a sword and a bow and arrow. Translate to whatever the heck I brought up.
What kid didn't carve their toast into a sword and sword translates across the face?
100%. What kid doesn't go to camp and sharpen the end of a stick and like poke random
Have,
things?
you know, sword fights.
Or whatever. Like,
you know, what-
you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
So
Any media, any books you've like ever read, ever, has some sort of... There's the mice, whatever that is. Mice have little shields. Like,
Right.
it's
I think it's
a
like
thing.
Redwall or whatever.
Yeah.
That series.
Yeah,
is.
like, it's just...
Anyway,
come
this
on.
doesn't deserve any more of our attention. Let's move on to yeah.
This surprised the crap out of me. I can't believe they showed Titans.
I had no idea that this was the approach Valve was going to take. So they're talking about the prototypes that they're going to send out 300 of to lucky folks who
Potentially very lucky
folks who apply to participate in the prototype test of Steam's Steam Box gaming console that's going to have the Steam OS on it. And there are, okay, so the 300 prototype units will ship with the following components. Some will have NVIDIA Titans, some will have GTX 780s, some 760s, and some 660s. So we're talking mid-range to high-end GPUs. I was really expecting Steambox to be more of a value-oriented.
Remember though, what I brought up last week is that Valve, the Steam box from Valve, if you buy Steam box from Valve, it's going to be heavily customizable. So it's going to be a desktop PC. And it's going to come with all the hardware. That's been the idea. Then everyone else will have size or value, like price, or
power
aesthetics,
consumption.
or low power consumption.
Sure.
That kind of stuff. Valve is going for the Beast Machine PC, which is probably not going to sell.
So these are, but I mean, Valve has such brand
That
equity
too.
that they could say, well, look, it's get it this way, or you can go with whatever, but with Valve, so if you want one built by us,
Boom, exactly. And something like boutique system builders. We kind of brag on it every once in a while. It's so hard to effectively be a boutique system builder. This might be the only point in time where it makes sense. Because if you build Steam machines, you're getting into an audience where they don't want to build their own system eventually, and they want something that's not an HP.
yeah. So
They want something that's built for that.
let's discuss the rating as well. Intel 4770s or 4570s. There's going to be some i3s. Storage is going to be a 1 terabyte / 8 gig hybrid SSH. Sounds like Seagate's drive. In all likelihood, power supply will be an internal 450 watt because Valve actually understands that you don't need a 1200 watt power supply even to power something like a Titan. Although 450 watt is probably borderline for a 4770 and a Titan. And then finally taking the are really going balls to the wall with the hardware here, which leads us into, and if you have anything else to say about that,
Just the Titan thing. I don't think any of these what they're expecting. But if you're getting a prototype, that if they're saying fully customizable, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to overclock like crazy and do heavier things on it, that you can
okay.
fully customize. Because I think
But the
they're
prototype
expecting-
has to work out of the box.
I think it'll work.
Okay.
That'll work.
Alright, so XI3 to unveil the piston. So this is apparently going to be shipping as soon as, what was it, mid-November?
Yeah.
Mid-November for folks who pre-ordered them a while ago, and late November, like the end of November, I think the 29th, for folks who want to order one now. So they are saying, okay, it's a powerful gaming system, however, powerful is very relative. It is not that powerful compared to what Valve will be shipping. So this is more like a next-gen power will actually be complex because it's an APU-based machine. So here you can see what it looks like. APU-based machine, it'll be powerful for its size.
An enemy has been slain.
So it's 4 inches by 4 inches by 4 inches. Their website has a bunch of different pictures on it, including a dude wearing it as like a backpack. That right there, wearing what looks like a VR device.
Interesting because there's certain things that don't make sense.
It'd be awesome. Like,
There's no battery. Or they haven't. I looked like crazy. I spent a really long time on this topic because I was digging through everything trying to find if there's a battery. Because I'm like, how is this guy wearing it on the back?
okay, here's my suggestion. I would suggest that it uses DCM because it's going to be relatively low power. And if that were the case, you saw that you use the external battery that Edsel bought, right? 25,000 milliamp hour battery. You could buy a half a dozen of them, daisy chain them, and you could.
If you look in my notes, I was saying something I would love to do is throw this in a backpack with a huge pile of batteries.
Yes.
And then go into, and something I thought of, this is, we always have our like crazy off the wall theories, and this is one of mine, is you could go into a paintball arena or a laser tag arena,
right,
and have that space mapped out into the thing, and then
so
go
cool.
around with a gun wearing an Oculus Rift and have fake enemies.
That would be
like
so
how,
cool. Or even better yet, real enemies.
Real enemies, but then you'd have to
bots?
have you would just have to have some sort of like positional tracking on the backpacks.
I mean,
so
okay.
they could say where they were.
Oculus in its current form, where you connect it to a desktop PC, is fascinating, but
it's everything else that's going to be super.
This is going to be just freaking insane. So, so the piston can power up to 3 displays. Who cares? Because the GPU is just plain not that powerful. It's going to have, I think, 8 gigs of RAM in its stock configuration. It's an APU.
It'll start with the 128 gigabyte SSD, but you can upgrade to 2 512s.
Yep, so those are just standard M-SATA drives, super small, tons of I/O, so 12 USB 2 ports, display ports, mini display ports, all kinds of great stuff. So you can see what they've got planned there. 4 and so this is, I think this ties in really well to a topic that I was talking to Chris Perillo about at the airport when we were in Hawaii. And I got a lot of flack in the comments under his video, which I basically said PS4, Xbox One is the last generation of dedicated gaming consoles.
There's people in dedicated gaming media that have said that.
Okay, so hold on. The people that were arguing with me seem to have largely not watched the video, because what they're saying is mobile will never replace the big screen experience with a controller. Didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I said a dedicated box for. I had one guy say, "Oh, this guy's an idiot because it might be something integrated into your TV." Yeah, I said that in the video. The couch gaming experience isn't going away. That would be a stupid thing to say. What I said is that if this generation of consoles has a life cycle that's as long as the last one, of about 8 years, we will have outgrown it by 8 years from now.
There's people that in 10 years, if your phone can't plug in to into your teams and power the whole thing. It wasn't really doing.
Yes, you look at how quickly it's moving right now compared to the speed at which larger devices are moving. We're moving towards smaller cores that are very powerful but also very power efficient, and that's where all the development's going. Nobody gives any cares about building a new cell processor. Okay? So, no, I'm not saying you're not going to sit on your couch with a controller and play games. People will still do that. But to imagine that you need a dedicated device that exists just for playing games on your TV in 8 years is ridiculous. So I really think platforms, like I suggested in the video, like Android or iOS, people are like, oh, the game Come on. What? Nintendo's still going to exist as a hardware manufacturer in 8 years? Are you kidding me? Good luck. I challenge you, Nintendo, because open platforms like Android will attract game developers. We've seen. Who was it? Someone
I can see devices from Nintendo running Android.
Sure.
That's actually, I had a talk with a friend about
that would
this.
that would be a rebranding exercise more than anything. Okay, fine. But to suggest that closed platforms will continue to be a thing, I think is ridiculous. We've seen already, I think it was $15 was the most expensive game on the App Store. And it's selling. So, no, you don't have to develop for, and we can prove you don't have to develop for a closed platform. And all of a sudden, anyone on their phone or TV or Shield or whatever else can consume your game. You're going to be getting so much larger of an audience. What do game devs look for? They look for where are people willing to spend money, not buying apps, and they look for where is a large install base. Why do you develop for Xbox 360? Because there's millions of them out there. Why do you develop for Android versus Windows Phone? Because there's millions of them out there. The install base for Android will completely eclipse anything that PS4 or Xbox One combined could hope to accomplish 8 years from now. That's how good.
And we're going to look at cell phones that will own that long, more powerful than that console.
Yes.
That is going to happen. So when I brought up plugging your phone into the TV, and then you're better.
So there you go, guys. Yes, it'll hold on, and yes, this generation of consoles will continue to exist. But, and you know what? Okay, maybe one more, but I don't think it'll be that successful. I don't think it'll be that big of a
That's not making their own device. Like, they might still be making their own device. It might be side by side. It might be a dedicated or an Android one, or they might be just won't be on the screen.
Or we might see some kind of an evolution where games could be platform specific, like Nintendo could lock down the Wii Store. I don't see that happening.
I could see it happening. I don't know what.
It'll all come down to game devs, though. And I mean, people making the argument in the comments as well that, oh yeah, I'm gonna replace my GTA 5 gaming experience with Angry Birds. Angry Birds isn't the only game that runs on Android. Like, let's get over that. Let's just move past that.
We don't have at some point
be capable of doing it. If everybody can make it. I mean, you'd be crazy as a game dev if you're not
one of the main reasons why I was that said, it would completely change. It would move into like desktop, mobile, and I found that fascinating. Plug your phone into the screen, and the mobile OS, and it's all weird, whatever. But if it's desktop OS, how about you plug your phone into your TV?
Sure. Yeah, mouse and keyboard support, sure, yeah, have a more desktop-like experience. There's no reason. 8 years! It's a really long time. In 8 years, we've seen smartphones come into existence to where we are today.
Like when you just think 8 years, it doesn't seem like that long, but actually go back and look, try and figure out what tech you owned 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then just be like...
It's laughable. So, okay, let's move into our next topic, because I think I've ranted about that enough. The Silk Road has been busted open. So you know what? You're more into this whole stuff than me. So go ahead.
To first explain what it is, it's a website on the quote unquote. People hate when I say quote unquote darknet unquote. There we go. I got called out for that a ton one live stream. That uses bitcoins and a weird way of transferring bitcoin